Dots can be super frustrating to get after the newest Phasmophobia update, but I'm going to show you ways to possibly make it a little bit easier to obtain. Now, the way that the developers first described dots after the update was that they wanted it to be a better representation of the ghost's actual position and to make it more immersive instead of just sitting there and waiting. The higher tier dots are definitely better to be able to get dots more consistently and faster, but you can't even unlock tier 2 until level 29. Until then, you are stuck with tier 1 and is definitely a pain to say the least. I found dots to be wildly inconsistent. There are times that I can get dots right away, while other times I'm waiting like multiple minutes until I can find any, if I find them at all. Thankfully, a few days after the update, the developers did a hotfix that allowed tier 1 dots to be placeable, and I definitely think that this was better overall. Being able to place the dots is going to allow you to choose sort of the greatest coverage area for the dots, which should hopefully increase your chances of getting it. So the tier 1 dots pin itself does not have a huge area. In fact, its stream is narrow and it only has a 5-meter range. This is why I'm definitely going to highly recommend that you buy a second dots pin as soon as you have the money to, just to increase the area of dots to be possible. Before you can even start looking for dots, you're going to need to find the ghost room. So obviously that's going to be the first step of any match, which thankfully now with the freezing temperature changes, you can see your breath in the ghost room most of the time. So once you have what you believe to be the ghost room, I would go out and probably get a dots pin, a notebook, and a thermometer, and then just place all those down, and you're going to be just keeping an eye on it while you're gathering other evidence, since some of those can take longer. So depending on the room, the way you're going to want to place the dots is the way to have the most coverage, and this is again why I recommend having a second dots pin. And now you just have to sit and wait. Ideally, you're going to have 2 pieces of evidence, and you're going to be thinking dots are probably your last, and then that's what you want to shift your focus to. Again, one thing that's important to keep in mind with the dots is that it is more likely to be based on the ghost's actual position. So the way that the dots seem to work is that dots ghost will put themselves into a dot state where they are more likely to be seen by the dots. Now, theoretically, placing items like motion sensors and salt to gauge the ghost's actual position should be able to help you have a better chance of getting dots. You also want to be keeping an ear out for interactions such as door touches or thrown objects, as the ghost is going to be right near it at that point. When you are waiting for dots, at this point, I would almost recommend you have 1 dots pin placed on the ground and another in your hand. So while you are listening for those interactions, you can walk around them and shine your dots pin around in hopes that you will see the dots. Now, what I have actually found pretty useful is going to be to place a lit candle in the room and wait for the ghost to blow it out, and then use your dots pin to look around and see if you see dots. Ghosts seem to be drawn to candles more to blow them out, so this is a better way to get the ghost close to your position to then look at it. Now, another thing that I have found to help is to be near the doorway. Well, obviously, if you're there in the dark, the sanity drain can be massive. So what I like to do is turn on the light in the other room and possibly even hold a lit candle to prevent some sanity drain while you're waiting to see if you can see dots. Now, all this is based on how to get dots in person, and theoretically, you should still be able to see dots on a video camera, but I've had such a hard time of being able to actually see dots on video camera. This is why I'm really going to recommend that you do try to see it in person, and maybe if your sanity is just too low and the ghost is constantly hunting you, you may want to just check and wait for the video camera dots, or just assume that it's dots and leave. Now, to go along with all that, this makes getting Goryo dots a whole lot more difficult, because in case you are not familiar, Goryo will only show dots on video camera with nobody else in the room. This is another example of where you would want to have dots set up in the room and then you holding a video camera outside of the doorway and then looking in to get it. And if you did want to wait in the truck for the video camera, ideally you're already going to have your 2 other pieces of evidence. So if you get dots, you will know it is a Goryo. Now, one of the cool changes with dots is that you can take a photo of the dots ghost and it will actually count as the ghost photo. Now, this can be super difficult to get, especially with tier 1 dots. But if you are struggling with the ghost pick, this can be a great way to get that money. Here's something really cool I found out while actually recording the footage for this as it relates to dots photos counting as ghost photos. Well, the Phantom's ability is that whenever you take a picture of it, it's going to disappear. I didn't even put 2 and 2 together, but actually when you take the Phantom's dots photos, it's going to disappear. A cool thing to keep in mind. Now, before placing the dots, you do need to find the ghost room, which, like I said, using your breath can help verify the ghost room location. This was also due to a recent change with freezing temperatures that you can click or tap the screen now to learn more about. Comment if you have figured out any tricks to getting dots more easily. Be safe and happy hunting, everybody.